students, today's video is about Robert Browning's poem, The Last Ride Together. Students, I had discussed with you people about Robert Browning in detail in my previous video. So I'm not going to go into any further details about him. Without wasting any more time, let's go directly to the poem. First of all, let me give you some details about this poem. The Last Ride Together is a dramatic monologue written by the English poet and playwright Robert Browning. Now, before I proceed any further, let me explain the term dramatic monologue. Students, monologue means the speech of a single person, because mono means one. Monologue means the speaker is one. But if it is dramatic monologue, that means the speaker will be one, but there will be listeners present who will be listening to his speech. They won't interfere in the speech. Still, the person who is speaking will speak in such a manner that their presence is felt. Secondly, there is a kind of character revelation not only of the speaker as well as of the person about whom he is speaking in a dramatic monologue. So these are the qualities which make a dramatic monologue different from a monologue. Coming back to the poem was first published in his collection called Men and Women, which was published in the year 1855. His major work release after his marriage to Elizabeth Barrett. Now, Elizabeth Barrett Browning herself was a great literary figure of the Victorian era. She was also the wife of Robert Browning. The work consisted of 51 poems, and in each of the poem, the narrator is different. It is regarded as one of the most important works of the Victorian era. Now, if we take the poem, if we discuss the poem, it's a 10 stanza poem, primarily focusing the themes of love and loss. The whole speech has been done by a rejected lover. The narrator is actually a rejected lover who is just thinking about the end of his love affair. The title itself is quite suggestive that it is the last time for the narrator to be in the company of his beloved, and they are having a carriage ride together. Throughout the poem, the narrator grieves at the end of his romance, though he wishes to reflect his appreciation for the time they had together and the love he experienced. So if we talk about the overall, you can say, the impact of the poem, it is one of the bittersweet kind of experience, because it is balancing sadness and optimism. So this is you can say the summary, or you can say the theme of the whole poem. That is the melancholic expression of a rejected lover, and there is a note of optimism also towards the end of the poem, where the narrator feels that at least he is lucky enough to have this one ride in the company of his beloved, and probably this might be the last ride of the world. Now I'm going to take up the poem. The poem opens with a situation where the lady love wants to end the relationship. I said, then, dearest, since it's so, since now at length my fate I know, since nothing all my love avails, since all my life seemed meant for fails, since this was written and needs must be, my whole heart rises up to bliss, your name in pride and thankfulness. So these lines clearly depict that the narrator is very well aware of his fate. He has been rejected by his beloved, and he is fully aware of this fact. As he says in the very beginning, that now at length my fate I know. That means I know what lies in the fate for me, because now you have just rejected me. So I know that now you are no more mine. And he says, though I loved you with my whole heart, but now nothing has been, nothing I could achieve by my love. As he says, nothing all my love avails. That means I could not avail, I could not get anything by all my love. And he says, he is okay with the fact that as if his life was meant for failures. He says, my life seemed meant for fails. And he says, since this was written and needs must be. He says, it was already written. I don't have any complaints from you, from the beloved. He says, it was already written in my fate, and it should have been like this only. I know there is no fault of you, oh my beloved, there is no fault of you. It was already written in my fate. My whole heart rises up to bliss. Still, I want to bless you. Still, my whole heart is full of all kinds of good wishes for you. Your name in pride and thankfulness. And I want to take your name, that means the name of the beloved, with full pride. And I just want, the narrator says that he just wants to thank his lady love. Take back the hope you gave. He says, okay, you take back the hope that you gave me. One day I was of the opinion that you will be mine. Now I am very well aware of the reality that you can never be mine. So just take back the hope. Now I don't want to live in false hopes. I claim only a memory of the same. He says, I know very well that I can never enjoy anymore the company of my beloved, but I simply want the memories of those moments which I shared in her company to be mine. And this decide if you will not blame your leave for one more last ride with me. And besides this, he says, I only claim, I only want to have you with me, your memories with me, and I want to seek your permission, that means the permission of the beloved, to go for one more ride. That could be the last ride, but he wants to have one more carriage ride with his beloved. So throughout the paragraph, we can say that the narrator is deeply in love with his beloved, although the beloved has totally rejected him, and he is quite aware of this thing. Still, he has he is nurturing no malice against his beloved. Rather, he is full of thankfulness for her, for giving him the special moments to cherish for his lifetime. And he implores his beloved to go on one last ride together. I hope that stanza is okay with you people. Now we proceed towards the next part. My mistress bent that brow of hers, those deep, dark eyes, where pride demurs, when pity would be softening through, fixed me a breathing while or two. With life or death in the balance, right. So The narrator says that when he asked the question of going on a last ride to his beloved, the beloved did not respond immediately, and he waited for her answer with a bated breath. He says, when he asked that question, the beloved suddenly paid attention towards him, and her deep dark eyes, which are always filled with pride, suddenly he could see pity coming in those eyes. Those eyes were softening because of pity. Up till now, there was pride in them, but now he suddenly feels as if the beloved is getting pitiful for him. But as I told you, the beloved did not respond immediately. So, the narrator says that he held his breath for full 1 or 2 seconds or 1 or 2 minutes. He waited eagerly for the answer of the beloved, and the beloved took her time for responding. With life or death in the balance, until she did not respond, the narrator felt as if his life was in the balance, hanging in a balance. On one side there was life, and on the other side there was death. Right. Finally, the beloved agreed to the proposal. The blood replenished me again. My last thought was at least not vain. And he says, the narrator says, as soon as the answer came in affirmative from the beloved's side, he could feel the blood rushing again in his body. And he was satisfied. At least the last of his wish was not in vain. At least that his last wish for his beloved could materialize. I and my mistress, side by side, shall beat together, breathe and ride. So one day more am I defied. Who knows, but the world may end tonight. He says the moment he answered in yes, he could feel as if he was born again. And he says when he and his mistress, his beloved, they both started riding on a carriage, sitting side by side, he could feel that at least in this present moment he was deified. He felt as if he has become a god. And he is full of so much of optimism. He says, who knows what the future holds for me, but at least today, here, in this present moment, I am in the company of my beloved. And who knows, it may be the doomsday. Probably the world may end tonight. So that means probably I may enjoy the company of my beloved forever and ever, because if the world is going to end tonight, I'll be having at least the satisfaction of the company of my beloved. So throughout this paragraph, we can very well see that he is deeply devoted towards his beloved, and for him the response of his beloved is so important that he feels as if it is a matter of life and death for him. And when the beloved answers yes to his question, he feels as if he is born again. And he is so full of optimism. The paragraph ends on a note of optimism. He says, though I am aware, in the previous stanza, he says he was aware of his fate, that he will not get the company of his beloved anymore. But at least in the present moment, he is having his beloved, and both of them are riding on a carriage side by side. He says, who knows when the doom may fall? Probably the world may end and he may continue to enjoy the company of his beloved. So that's all for today. Today I have taken the first 2 stanzas. Though, as I told you in the beginning, there are 10 stanzas in this poem. So I'm going to take them one by one, and it is my motive to make the things clear to you, because if I'm going to take up the whole of the poem, the things will get messy, and probably they will be sort of make difficult, things will be difficult for you to understand. So we'll be taking the poem in piecemeals. So that's all for today. Just watch the video carefully, and still if you find any difficulty, always think that I am there to help you all. Okay.